Hello, I'm Kai Lee, Professor of Chemistry and Provost of the University of Chicago. Thank you for joining us today in this town hall focused on supporting the international student experience. This webinar is intended to provide you with information about the careful work underway to address academic planning in light of ongoing and new travel and immigration developments. I understand that this is an especially difficult time for many of you, with an ongoing pandemic and last week's announcement by US Immigration and Customs Enforcement of plans to impose restrictions on international students with F1 visas. The university was firmly opposed to the measure and joined with all the institutions of higher education to file an amicus brief in support of a lawsuit challenging the new restrictions. We also submitted a declaration in support of a separate lawsuit by the Illinois Attorney General and numerous other attorneys general challenging the July 6 directive from ICE. We are pleased that the government agreed yesterday to rescind the policy and revert to the previous guidance that was issued in March in response to the pandemic. While the outcome was favorable, we understand that this has created concern and uncertainty for many of you. Let me reassure you that the university is committed to supporting our international students and helping you continue your academic pursuits. International students are important members of our university community. You bring valuable insights and perspectives from across the globe that enrich the intellectual and social life of our campus. I came to the US from Hong Kong as an international student for my academic pursuit, so I know firsthand what the opportunity to study and to do research here mean to you. While the university plans to offer both in-person and remote classes in the autumn quarter, we realize not all students will be with us in person in the fall. We are committed to providing a vigorous education and robust experience for all our students, no matter their location. The spring quarter showed us that we are a vibrant and strong community, even when separated by distance. And you, as international students, are a critical part of our community. Today, you'll hear more about the resources and support available to you and plans for helping you continue your education pursuit. Many of you submitted questions in advance, and we will address them throughout this webinar session. To begin, I'm pleased to introduce Nick Siemens for an update on US immigration policies, travel restrictions, and ongoing support from the university's Office of International Affairs.
Thank you, Provost Lee, and good day to all of you joining us from around the world. As mentioned, you are important members of our university community, and we look forward to supporting you as you make plans to begin your academic program or resume your studies either on campus in Chicago or elsewhere in the world. I will begin today by addressing recent ICE guidance, provide an update on routine visa services worldwide, and discuss US entry restrictions currently in effect. Yesterday, the guidance issued on July 6th and related FAQs issued on July 7th by US Immigration and Customs Enforcement, otherwise known as ICE, were both rescinded. The opposition to these policies was swift, thorough, and impactful. The university was active in this opposition and in support of our international students. As a result, I want to clarify that F1 international students at the University of Chicago will not need an updated I-20 to either obtain an F1 visa sticker from a US consulate or embassy or to enter the United States to begin or resume your study. Students in F1 status may take their courses online from abroad or enroll in a hybrid course schedule combining virtual and in-person elements on campus and still maintain their F1 student status. We also recognize the additional challenges our newly admitted students may face as they prepare to begin their academic programs this fall. Recently, the US Department of State tweeted that US embassies and consulates will gradually resume routine visa services. US visa services have been suspended worldwide since late March due to the COVID-19 pandemic. According to the US Department of State, each consular post will begin visa services on its own timeline, taking into consideration the particular conditions of the host country. Individual US embassy and consulate websites are recommended as the most reliable for up-to-date information on a particular embassy or consulate's opening timeline. As many of you know, since January of this year, President Trump has issued 5 COVID-19 related proclamations limiting travel to the US. These orders remain in effect at this time and suspend entry into the US by a student visa holder physically present during the 14-day period preceding their entry into the US from the following countries: China, Iran, the European Schengen area, Ireland and the United Kingdom, and Brazil. These entry restrictions, as well as delays in securing student visas from US consulates or embassies, may impact your planned arrival in Chicago and on campus. As Provost Lee mentioned, the university plans to offer both in-person and remote classes in the autumn quarter and further provide you with a robust experience no matter your location. The university's commitment to international students is evident through our advocacy efforts in support of issues important to you. Working with our Federal Relations Office and others on campus, we are also active in joint efforts on behalf of international students with our professional associations and peer institutions. The Office of International Affairs, also known as OIA, will continue to provide support and advising services as they pertain to your student visa status and more. We are committed to providing you with the most up-to-date information on immigration-related issues. Further, OIA plans to host 3 upcoming Q&A sessions for new and returning international students. The first of these is planned for this coming Friday, and 2 additional have been scheduled for next week. Later today, you will receive information about these sessions by email with information about registration. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Michelle Rasmussen, Dean of Students of the University, for additional information on virtual programming and resources.
Thank you very much, Nick, and hello everyone. It's great to be with you today. I'd like to spend a few moments briefly describing for you some of the things that you can anticipate, whether you're going to be on campus in the fall or studying remotely, around campus life and student resources. First of all, I'd like to impress upon you how important it will be for all of us to take seriously the importance of not exposing ourselves or spreading COVID-19. And to that end, we're going to ask all community members who will be on campus in the fall to think carefully about important things like wearing a face covering at all times, maintaining physical distance, self-monitoring for symptoms, and promptly letting us know if you test positive for COVID-19 or need any assistance if you become ill. This will be absolutely important to make sure that everyone on campus stays well and healthy, and that we do everything we can as a community to minimize the spread of COVID-19. We're very interested and committed in ensuring that every student has a quality experience this fall, whether they be on campus or off. And to that end, Campus and Student Life, the college, UChicago Grad, the Center for Leadership and Involvement, the Center for Identity and Inclusion, and Spiritual Life, just to name a handful of offices on campus, are working very hard to think about ways to deliver programming and services in all of their areas in ways that can both be in person and safe, but also remote. We want to make sure that any student who is pursuing their studies remotely still feels deeply connected to the University of Chicago, has opportunities to interact with other students and staff, and feels that they're part of our wonderful, vibrant intellectual community. I also want to reassure you that all of the campus services and resources that you are used to having as a student at the University of Chicago continue to be in place. I'm pleased to let you know that back in March, the medical wing of the new Student Wellness Center opened. And our student health service is delivering services to students, both in person, but also remotely through a very robust telehealth and telemedicine operation. Similarly, our student counseling service continues to offer a wide array of services for students, including individual psychotherapy, psychiatric services, medication management, and group therapy, both remotely, as they have been since March, but also in a limited way in person starting this autumn. I really encourage you to visit wellness.uchicago.edu to see the full array of services that continue to be available to students around wellness and health, and to get important information about how you can get access to those services by phoning or email. And I'd also like to add that we are very, very invested in making sure that students have lots of wellness programs that they can participate in, again, either remotely or in person if they're going to be on campus. We know that the upcoming quarter will continue to be full of stress and anxiety for many of you because of the uncertainty of the global pandemic, and particularly for those of you who are trying to get here from abroad, or perhaps are not able to get here from abroad. There can be added pressures to your studies. We really want to make sure that we have a robust array of wellness programs to help you manage any stress or anxiety or uncertainty that you're facing. And to that end, our health promotion and wellness service will be offering lots of amazing programs for students. So again, please feel free to visit wellness.uchicago.edu and keep an eye out for announcements throughout the months ahead about great resources that will be available to you. It's now my great pleasure to introduce Associate Dean Sarah Walter, and who is also our Director of Study Abroad.
Thank you, Dean Rasmussen. Hello, everyone. I'm delighted for the opportunity to join you today to share how the Study Abroad team is supporting international students in the college. As my colleagues have said, we know this has been a remarkably challenging time for our international students, and I would like you to know that we are working actively on campus and with our global center system to support international college students. I can assure you that with the support of Dean Boyer, the Study Abroad team is committed to deploying our resources and networks abroad to help as many students as we can. As many of you will have heard from the College Student and Parent Town Hall and from an email announcement that was sent last week to first-year international students, we are working to organize on-site, in-residence academic opportunities in Paris and Hong Kong, specially designed as an option for international first-year college students. These programs are intended to offer students select courses that satisfy college requirements, such as calculus, the humanities core, and the social sciences core. As on campus, we're planning for a hybrid approach, which will include both courses taught remotely from Chicago, but at times that are convenient for students in Paris or Hong Kong, and in-person learning opportunities. Alongside the coursework, a primary function of these programs will be to provide community building opportunities among college students abroad. If you're interested in these programs, you still have a short window of opportunity to apply by noon Central Time today via the College Study Abroad website, where you can also find more detailed information about each program. Beyond these first-year programs, the university is also working to create opportunities for virtual or in-person student engagement and community building through our other university centers abroad, and we'll look forward to sharing more about those plans as they come together in the coming weeks. Of course, wherever you are around the world, we know it is important that you be able to make progress in your academic studies. Our faculty recognize that for a variety of reasons, a number of students, both domestic and international, will require the ability to access coursework remotely, and they're working incredibly hard with remarkable creativity to develop novel instructional and course delivery approaches to address the needs of students. As Dean Ellison mentioned in a previous town hall, when you register for classes, there will be tags to indicate whether the course can be taken entirely remotely or if there's a component that requires on-campus resources or facilities, and you can then build your schedule around your needs or preferences. To help guide your planning, all students in the college will be assigned an academic advisor who will continue to be available to you for remote advising as they were for their advisees during the spring. You can schedule these appointments through the college scheduling site. Many of you may also be wondering about future support from our first-in-class career advancement office. I want to reassure you that even if you're not on campus, you will continue to have access to personalized online advising from expert career advisors, virtual meetings with alumni mentors, and opportunities to connect with employers by accessing virtual services from anywhere in the world. Employers remain very eager to meet you and have moved many of their recruiting programs online. They'll begin posting jobs and internships as early as August 3rd and continue throughout the academic year. For new students joining us in the autumn, the College Programming and Orientation Office is working closely with the Office of International Affairs to offer an assortment of targeted information for international students through virtual programming and specialized resources. Planned programming includes student panels about transitioning to UChicago as an international student, an introduction to the American classroom, and practical information about acclimatizing to campus. We are an institution and a college that has, from the outset, placed great value on the importance of international engagement and the support of our international student community. We are deeply committed to supporting our international students during these complex and challenging times. I greatly appreciate the opportunity to speak with all of you today. Please know that the college team will continue to be in touch as we plan for the autumn quarter, and we very much look forward to working with you. I am now delighted to introduce Vice Provost Jason Merchant, who will discuss planning and support related to international graduate students. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. And let me also add to what Sarah just said, how important international students are to the university and to our graduate programs in particular. There is no way to overstate how crucial, how essential to the university's functioning international students are. And we have been an international institution from the very beginning. Many of you know that our very first PhD awarded at this university in 1893 was to an international student. So we are very, very pleased that the US government has revised its directive of last week and gone back to the status quo ante of March, which will allow us to continue to provide remote instruction to international students on their F1 visas, as Nick Siemens mentioned, without interruption and without requiring a physical presence on campus. So I know all of you are eager to learn a little bit more about what the academic experience will be like in the autumn. So for those of you who are unable to return either due to travel restrictions or health considerations, you will be able to take all of your courses remotely. As Sarah just mentioned, we will be opening registration up soon, and the courses there that you will be able to select will be have an indicator if they are being taught entirely remotely, and you can choose to create a program that is entirely remote. So we'll have a robust remote offering, and even if you're abroad, you should be able to enroll, take the courses that lead to the degree completion, and make good timely progress towards your degree, no matter where you are in your program. Of course, we hope as soon as conditions permit to welcome you to college, to campus. You'll also see that all of our planning is tentative in a way that it does respond to conditions. So we are, as we said, we are hopeful that we'll be able to open campus and welcome students back. But we know that changing conditions on the pandemic might mean that we will need to pause in-person instruction for some period. And just as we did in the spring, this may involve a stay-at-home order. We're working very closely with the local and state authorities around the health guidance, and we're also very fortunate to have our own health guidance team working at the medical center, who have now at this point have 5 months of experience of treating patients and opening safely and knowing, figuring out exactly what works. So as you've heard in other town halls for graduate students and for the college, the experience in the fall on campus will be a little bit different. We are going to be de-densifying classrooms so that there will not be as many people in each classroom as we're used to, which means some of the smaller courses will be in larger lecture halls, and the larger courses will be almost entirely online. Of course, we'll also be requiring that everyone wear masks at all times on campus. That includes in the classrooms and laboratories, of course, and that you undergo training and agree to a health pact where you'll be monitoring your health, and if necessary, if you're showing symptoms, will be required to get tested. So we have a lot of flexibility around the kinds of courses that we're able to offer. And if you have any more questions about requirements, you should contact the OIA, which has an FAQ on the coronavirus, or contact them directly. I wanted to talk a little bit also, not just about courses, which many of you are having, but also about the research resumption. So in most of your graduate programs, there is a major research component. That's a major part of the PhD degree, and many of our other graduate programs as well. We are in the middle of working towards reopening research on campus, both in the libraries and the laboratories. But each plan is specific to the individual laboratories, the principal investigators, the departments. And so each unit is right now submitting plans and working through that process. So the people to contact for your research are going to be your departments. They'll be able to give you specific advice on how to continue that if you're on campus, but also if you are remote. So just as we saw in the spring, we are committed to helping international students make timely progress towards their research degrees, even if they can't join us on campus. There is a research planning group that will be hosting an online session like this one and inviting graduate students to discuss returning to the lab. The date hasn't been set yet, but you'll get an invitation to that when it is. We are also working on mechanisms to pay advanced graduate students who are in research and instructional roles. So if you are scheduled to teach in the fall, either as an instructor of record for a course or as a TA or a writing intern, you will be able to do that remotely. Just like all instructors, you have the option to choose to do that remotely, even if you didn't want to because of travel restrictions and you don't have a choice. We do expect to be able to find ways to pay you. We do not know yet what the details are, but we're confident that we'll be able to find ways for students in almost all countries to receive their stipends and other pay. If you have questions about this, as always with graduate student pay, please email gradhelp@uchicago.edu. Finally, as Sarah mentioned, for the college students, UChicago Grad continues a robust line of programming around employment opportunities and internships. So guidance on career and fellowship planning. Remember that UChicago Grad has moved all of its operations online entirely, both for people here in Chicago and abroad. So there's an international graduate student guide for the job search. We are continuing planning workshops and internships. You can reach out at any time for an appointment with an advisor there. We have an international student and postdoc workshops series. And just as Sarah mentioned, employers are very eager to meet our grad students. We moved GraduCon, the Career Exploration Conference, entirely online this year. It was a great success. Usually that happens in Illinois with a few hundred employers coming. This year we had the same number of employers, but we had probably 5 times as many grad students able to attend because it was virtual. All the panels were virtual. And finally, we have a fellowship database at UChicago Grad that features opportunities for international students in particular. I encourage you all to read your Grad Gargoyle newsletters on Thursdays, which has more specific guidance on all of these issues. As always, let me just end by saying how deeply important international students are to the university and to our programs in particular. The fact that the United States and that the University of Chicago does seek to educate and train the best and the brightest from around the world is why this university and this country's university system is the best in the world. And we deeply understand that and appreciate it, and have, if there's one silver lining to the terrible and misguided advice that came out last week, and is that the entire university pulled together and was able to communicate to the outside world just how important that was. And I'll end just by saying that every unit on campus, the college, the divisions, and the schools, are deeply committed to the success of international students, and we are doing everything that we can to make sure that you can make timely progress on your degrees, either beginning them now, whether you're on campus or not, and able to join us later, or continuing your degrees from abroad. So with that, I will say thank you and turn it back to Provost Lee.
Thank you for taking the time to join us today. I know this has been a challenging time, and I want to reiterate the university's commitment to supporting all of you. We will continue sharing information regarding immigration policy developments and autumn quarters on a regular basis. Be well and have a good rest of the day. Thank you.